Aidan, let's just start here. What's your overall sense of the mood of the guys and how they're feeling coming into this week, coming back home and another opportunity to try to get back in the win column against SMU?
Yeah, I'd say our locker room, we're all really loyal to each other. So we're definitely hurting for the guys who are out. But we're excited for the young guys who are getting opportunities.
Ben?
Yeah, and just talk about how do you kind of maintain your focus, playing a position where maybe you don't always have the ability to control the outcome of the game as much as you like. Just how do you kind of stay locked in and do your thing, even when maybe the game is out of hand, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say one thing that I like to think about always is that, at least for my position, because a lot of it is just kind of the same task, whatever the situation, just recognizing that no punt, for me, no punt, no game is more important than any other, but it's also no less important than any other. They're all the same focus for each one.
John?
And you and I talked last week, and I really appreciated your answers. One of which was one thing that helps you in the position is sort of not getting perturbed, sort of even keel emotionally. I got the same vibe from Joshua Carty. Is that something you've worked to enhance? You're born with this? I mean, I would think at punter when you got guys running at you and whatnot, just kind of being level and that sort of thing is helpful. Just kind of speak to that.
Yeah. I think that's just kind of like a muscle you can train like anything else. I'm really fortunate to get to work with a great sports psychologist, Dr. Kelly, every week. She's helped me a lot. And yeah, I mean, maybe a certain aspect of it is just like a natural thing, but I've definitely been able to work on that a lot and get better at it. And a lot of it's just experience too.
Thank you, John. Back to Troy.
Yeah, any different variables that you have to take into account while kicking at Stanford Stadium, punting at Stanford Stadium? Does punting in that building, are there any variables that make punting in that building more unique or unique from any other building?
Yeah. I'm sure you could ask Josh more about this stat, but he used to always say that our stadium was one of the harder ones to kick in. I'm not sure about the science behind that, but I think there's some stat about like opposing kickers have like a way lower percentage when they play us at home versus when they're at their own stadiums or even other stadiums. So, maybe it's just something in the air, maybe it's just something about traveling to California. I don't know, but we're pretty fortunate. Again, we get to go practice in the stadium during the week, so we get pretty used to it. So I don't think I'd be able to speak on any difference as much as maybe another team would be able to, but I don't notice it too much.
John?
Aidan, just levering off Troy's question. I watch you guys in pregame warmups, and you're very ritualized, which sort of makes sense to me. Do you, when you walk out on the field though for a game, are you taking into account wind, where the sun's going to be, maybe punt toward into the eyes of the receiver? Like, what does some of those extra intangible things go into your preparation?
Yeah, I'd say the sun and the eyes is definitely a new one, but that's something I could think about. That definitely wouldn't hurt. I remember in high school, every specialist probably knows this, but the returners would always make me kick where I face the sun, and they wouldn't be facing the sun. So, it's always something I could think about. I'd say, as far as wind goes, I like to just see what it's doing at, the top of the stadium, if there are any flags, and then also just down by me. One thing we heard about Notre Dame when we were there is that we really just got to stick with like the field level wind. But it really just changes. But I like to think about just what's immediately around me because most of the time, if I hit a good ball, it'll fade right and just go where I want it to. So,
Diego?
You guys have had a lot of early kickoffs this year so far, both on the road and at home. How does that affect your routine, and is it easier to deal with at home or on the road?
yeah, it's a great question. It's definitely new with all the ACC stuff. I'd say, as far as specialists go, and the whole team too, we definitely are a lot more focused on taking care of our bodies because the travel, being on a plane for a few hours can definitely make you like stiff or a little tight. So we're very mindful of that. We're wearing like compression tights, doing all sorts of things to, keep us fresh on those flights too. Yeah, I'd say the big theme is just it's not any different. And I'd say it's because our staff has done a good job really preparing us, the nutritionists and strength staff for these travels.
Thank you, John.
Aidan, in a punting situation, not a pooch, but like if say your Stanford has the ball on its own 25 and you're back there and you're punting, you're obviously trying to get off a great one, quick get off time. Are you thinking there's got to be some combination of hang time and maximum distance? Are those two sort of things are things you're thinking about when there's a situation where you're just trying to back them up?
Yeah, so you're talking about like an open field punt, just
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say with each punt that I do, I like to think about three things: distance, hang time, and direction. And a general rule of thumb for a lot of punters is trying to get 2 out of the 3. Obviously, if you get 2 out of the 3, but that means you hit like a 5-yard punt, maybe that's not what you want. But as long as you get like, a requisite amount of, the other one. So say you hit maybe more of a driven ball, but it goes far and it goes out of bounds. Well, that keeps all your net yardage and, it gets the team a lot of good field position. So I'd say for me, just I don't think about anything in particular. I just think about, just doing my technique, hitting my ball, because I trust my training and I know that the way I've trained, if when I get it off right, it works out well. So yeah, I'd say that's what I think about.
John, follow up.
Yep. And this is a vanity question. Just when you're goofing around, maybe in the summer or whatnot, the furthest you have punted a football in your life that you're aware of, because it's some of you guys, when you just hit it right, it's sort of like the perfect golf swing. You always strive for it, you never hit it, but I'm sure there is a longest ball for Aidan Flintoft. Or what would it be?
Yeah, I'd say, well, on the ground, like including roll and stuff, there were some in the off season. Connor did this too. We'd all just be, punting on the field, just hitting bombs or whatever. And, occasionally we'd catch a wind at our back, get a crazy roll, and we'd be kicking like out of our end zone and like say it was a windy day and it would roll to like the other like 10 or something. That's probably not as realistic as, having a returner back there, but it's fun nonetheless. I'd say the farthest one in the air that I've kicked, I remember I hit one at a camp that was like 61 one time, but that was as a sophomore in high school. So I'd say my leg's probably gotten bigger since then. But I don't keep track of it too much. But maybe something in the 60s in the air.
Yeah, the turnover where you ripped it out of the Notre Dame players out of his body into yours. Did you ever done that in a game before?
I think last year I haven't physically took it out of someone's hand, but I've like attempted. I think last year against Notre Dame, against the quarterback, I forced a fumble and I recovered it, and then this year I just took it away. So
Ben?
Yeah, you've been kind of going under some position changes, Jshawn, just kind of going from like corner to safety, different defensive back positions. Just what has that been like for you?
it's been good, just learning all the positions and just trying to help my team in the best way I can. Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me what position I play. I just want to help the team win and improve. So I'm fine with anything. And I like all the positions too. So
Troy?
Yeah, Jshawn, in what ways do you think you've improved the most so far this season, and what sort of those things you're going to be counting on, especially going forward with a shorthanded secondary now?
yeah, this year I just wanted to improve. I feel like I've been improving on my communication, and just like being more patient with my calls, and just like when I'm on the field, just like thinking less. Because I know when I play football, I'm like, if I think less, I know if I do something at 100%, I know what I'm capable of doing. So just less thinking on the field and just attacking every play and just being me out there on the field and just having fun.
Diego?
How you doing, Jshawn? I was wondering, how was the atmosphere at Notre Dame, and like, did you guys feel prepared for that kind of atmosphere? And how is it compared to other ones you've seen on the road so far this season?
Yeah, I feel like we'd have a good amount of different atmospheres this year. Notre Dame was it was beautiful. It was beautiful campus and everything. They had nice fans. It was loud. Third down, it was loud. But yeah, it was one of the louder stadiums. I would say Syracuse is probably the loudest I've played in so far.
John? John?
Jshawn, what are your initial impressions of SMU, the team that you guys are going to face this week?
I think they're a really good team. They have a really good quarterback. They have a couple good receivers. And they have a player that I know, Jake Bailey, played at my high school. So they're really well-rounded team. So yeah, I just can't wait to get out there and play and just help the team.
Steve?
Sjhawn, the whole thing, any football team, that there's next man up. And that's an understood sentiment to have. But guys are human too. When you see as many guys who've gone down in your secondary, how do you guys fight the, oh no, not again, woe is me, natural sentiment that a lot of us would have?
Yeah, I just tell my guys to just take advantage of the opportunities, because those opportunities are special, and I feel like if I spread that to like all the freshmen, all the sophomores, and like the lower class, just take advantage like of the opportunity you have, because like you never know when your last snap's gonna be. Like you never know if you'll get hurt this play. You never know if something happens to you. So I just letting them know that like just take advantage of everything. Take advantage of every rep, every practice, every time you watch film, every time you're on the field. Just everything. It's a blessing.
Thank you, sir.
Troy?
Yeah, I'm sure it differs from one secondary spot to the next, but when you have a quarterback and when you're facing a quarterback like Kevin Jennings for SMU, who can certainly run the ball and be a big time dual threat, what sort of pressure points does that put on the secondary potentially in particular?
Well, it does a lot, because it's not a quarterback that is just gonna stay in the pocket and you can just cover your guy down the field. Like you're gonna have to cover your guy. He's gonna be scrambling, so a play might be longer than usual. You might guard your receiver or your player for an extended amount of seconds. It might be 10 seconds. So that does take a toll on the defense, but I think we'll do a good job at it, and we'll practice it in practice.
John?
Jshawn, I'm impressed when I see college football players who switch positions or who raise their hand and say, "Look, we have a need here. I'll move." Like Emmett Mosley played running back. Travis Hunter at Colorado plays both sides. That's not really moving a position, but guys who have changed positions or who might have to change positions. Can you speak to the attitude of a player? Is that exciting? Is that like, oh, I don't know. Are guys different that way? Collins went from outside to inside, although that's still you're defending the pass. But the attitude of players to taking on different positions in college.
Yeah, well, my attitude on it is whichever way I could, be on the field. Like I'll play defensive tackle if they ask me to. So whichever position they need me, I play. I just love the game. I love tackling people. I love contact. So whichever position they need me to play, I'm willing to play. So that's my mindset on it.